Hey Martin, this is Ted from the D61 Sim Racing School. I am on the instructor team. I just got your video here in the F1 2020 beta course. I'm going to go over it and a couple of things I think you could definitely review and work on. Just so you know, there's a lot of stuff you're doing great, actually, and this is a really, really solid foundation. So let's get right into this. Alright, so good job having a conservative approach to the first corner so we can get a good launch onto your first lap. That's a really smart move. Nice and tight to the first apex of the first corner. That's really good. Good job using all the curb there. Now I'm just going to pause this here for a second, Martin. One thing I did notice at about 33 seconds in here is we really want to use all the circuits. If you look at the curb, and we don't do this in real life, but F1 2020 really rewards it quite highly. We want almost the whole center line of the car over the center strap of the curb, the painted line, or where you can see the white and red checked sections begin right there, so that we can really widen out the track a little bit extra for us and make sure we're using the whole circuit so we can basically make the corner wider and easier for the car to take. In there, nice job using the whole circuit. Just a little bit of a lock up there into the slower corner, so if you could try braking just a little bit earlier or releasing the brake sooner, that would help with that. And again, we want to make sure we're using the whole track, so you're exiting that previous left-hand corner there. You really want to make sure you're all the way up by the track edge. There you go. Really good job using the whole track here. One thing that I do want to point out here is you're at about 126 kph as you're about to fully release the brake and apex the final corner here. This is a really sudden, sharp kink, so you can actually roll a little bit more speed into here. I noticed you're slightly slow through the apex here on just about every lap. See if you can bump the speed up to maybe 130 or 135 kph in short shift fourth gear slightly earlier, so you can get back to the power, rotate the car through the apex sooner, and carry more speed down the main straight. You can find a little bit of time here. That was nice and tight to the first corner, but you still had a little bit of a lock up there, so if you have to brake just slightly earlier, that's okay. And again, try to use the whole track there into this right-hander. And just a little bit deep here, you'll notice that you missed the apex a little bit. Part of that was because of the lockup you had on the brakes, but I think the lockup was actually caused further down the track by how deep you were trying to brake into the corner. For these slow speed corners, it's really important to remember that we want the car to rotate and then exit the corner because it's turned the slow speed corner very sharply, and we can then have a nice gentle exit angle and get on the power early. So for some of these slower speed corners, I actually think you can find more time by braking slightly earlier so that we can get the car turned in and rotated through the apex and then out towards the exit sooner rather than trying to bomb a whole bunch of speed into the braking zone for the corner. There you go. That's very good. So you see how on your delta timer up here on the top right, when you entered that corner, you were up on your previous best time by about 1/10, and when you exited, you had gotten another tenth, almost a 2/10. You went into that slow double left a little bit more gently and brake slightly sooner than you did the previous lap, and it actually helped you go through the corner faster, coast more gently in, and then get on the power sooner so you could carry more speed down the next straight. So that's something we really want to focus on the low speed corners, is braking nice and early sometimes so that we can roll speed through the apex and then really get on the power to go fast down the next straightaway. That was a good job there. And again, good job using the whole circuit on the entry there, but we need to use more space on the exit. There we go. And then on the exit here, you see, because we're going a little bit too slow in, like we talked about on the previous lap, your car is about a car width off of the curb on the exit to driver's left. We want the car all the way over there and using the whole circuit. So remember, you can brake at the same time, but release the brakes a little bit earlier and roll extra speed through the corner, or release at the same time and get back to the power slightly sooner so that we exit farther to driver's left and at a higher speed than you're doing currently. There you go. You're nice and tight to the apex there in the first corner. No lockup that lap, which was pretty good. Again, just a little bit too deep in there. You'll see you got a lot of time on yourself through the entry, but then you lost it going too quickly on the entry. There you go. You were more gentle into that corner that time, so you carried a lot more mid-corner speed, and now look, you're faster on the next straightaway. Very good. But again, slightly too deep. Lock up, cost yourself a little bit of time through the exit. Good curb straddle. Nice job using the whole track, but again, all the way to the right on the exit there, if you can. Nice and tight to the apex that lap. And again, we can use a little bit more space on the exit to driver's left and roll more speed through there. So to summarize everything, I think there's 3 things that could use a little bit of cleaning up on your lap. The core form is really great, but number 1 would be, we really want to make sure that we're hitting the apex of every corner. What I'm noticing, especially in Sector 2 at the lower speed corners, is that you're driving the car into some of the corners so deep and hard that we're not actually making the apex and then track out points at the corners. So we're changing their shape awkwardly by driving in a bit too deep, a bit too fast. It's okay to be less aggressive and practice just growing around and hitting the apexes of every corner, right? Because if we're precise, then we can add the speed in and increase the speed limit of the car later. But if we're imprecise because we're driving in so hard and so deep into every corner trying to find time, we're actually overstressing the car, we're losing time, we're dropping grip out of the car, and we can't hit our marks every lap, which is how we stay consistent, right? So I'd really work on that as a first step. Second step, I think it would be really beneficial for you to go around, maybe watch some world record hot lap recordings on YouTube and see just how much they take advantage of using the whole circuit on the entry and exits to some corners. The general trick that we use in F1 2020 is to put the center line of the car over the middle of the curb and kind of straddle the curb with one side of the car on the asphalt and one side of the car off the edge of the curb, wherever there's asphalt runoff next to the curb. So at the first corner here, at turn 3, the right-hander leading into Sector 2, and at the final right-hander of the lap. These are all really great places where we could work on getting the car more on the curb on entry, and then when we're exiting, also letting the car all the way out and widening up the track, if we can, on exit without picking up a cut detection.